I'm always on the lookout for old lumber, especially old pieces of lath. Now, I recently found an entire truckload of this stuff that had been pulled out of an old house, and the old style lath wood or lath board is roughly twice or a little more than twice as thick as what you get in the store these days. This stuff is very solid, very sturdy wood, and it happens to make a great body grip support. Now this system will work with 110s, 220s, 280s, and you can even work with the 330, although that's pushing it. But all you do basically is you're going to hang the trap vertically instead of horizontally, and you simply stick the piece of lath into the ground where you want the trap, and you bend the springs down, and you put the bottom spring and then the top spring through it. And to stabilize the trap, you simply push the springs outward until it gets firm, and you can put that trap anywhere you want and it's going to stay. And this is a great system here. It's lightweight. These pieces of lath are a lot lighter than, say, a rebar stabilizer. They give you, depending on how tall the piece of wood is, a place to put a piece of flagging tape so you can mark your sets. If you're putting out a bunch of rat sets, you can see them from a long way off. You can go right to them. And although this trap doesn't have it, if you use a 4-way trigger, when you have the trap set in this configuration, even if the animal doesn't push the trigger through, if he simply hops up on that bottom wire and pushes down, a 4-way trigger is going to fire and give you a catch. So that way you can catch a smaller animal such as a mink even in a bigger trap that otherwise you might lose him because he could go right through it. Now, if you're going to use this in deep water, you want to make sure that you tie your trap off to the top with a piece of wire. In other words, when the trap fires, it may slide down, and if you don't have the trap attached to the piece of wood, you go to pull the wood up, the trap may go straight to the bottom. And that's not a worry here where I'm using this, but if you were out in deep water, that could be a problem. You wouldn't want to lose your trap and your catch. So anyway, if you ever come across any old pieces of lath, grab them. They make great body grip supports. While we're out here, just another thing to think about. A lot of trappers will ask, what's the best size trap for a given animal? Well, sometimes you have to ask yourself, what's the best size trap for the situation? You can see, this is one of my favorite spots. Showed you this in a recent video. And this is on top of a beaver dam. This is a crossover. You can see you got a log here. And basically they've got to go into that log. Now this is a very tight opening. This is a Belial 220. Now, I'm not trying to force this beaver into a 220. And I'm not advocating using 220s for beaver. But in this situation, given this very tight space, this is going to be a nice fit. This 220 fits in there just fine. And when you get a 220 on a beaver, it's usually a very, very fast dispatch because it gets them right behind the ears, especially if they're big. 220 is also a great otter trap, so if an otter comes through here, he's good to go. And the way I've got this set, I should be able to catch a muskrat or anything. But the point that I'm trying to make is, it's not always what's the best size trap for the animal, but do a little bit of thinking, always question, and sometimes you have to choose the trap based on the situation or the area that you're trying to set up in. So we'll check it in the morning, see if we have any luck.